hopping over to Facebook to go live on Facebook. So give it just a
Okay.
few seconds. For some reason, it just doesn't do it very quick. But the
No
internet.
problem.
Do go live. Live video
I,
starting.
I still got it's like 75% here. So
Oh, sweet. All right,
it
here we
keeps
go.
going up and down.
All right, no worries about that. It'll fluctuate.
Yeah. So okay. So basically, to give you the nut. Well, I'm going to I got a poem. I don't know if you want me to run it by you first, but I usually introduce myself as a poem, which I call Dale reviewing what actually happened.
Okay. Um, Give me just a second to do the intro, and we'll hop on in. Okay.
Okay, great.
Alrighty. Hello, hello, and welcome back to Retrieving Sanity with our podcast host Keegan, and this is your podcast for all mental health, addiction, recovery issues, and topics. And today we have a very special guest, and his name is Dale Walsh. He is a mentor for the family caregivers for those diagnosed with schizophrenia. He's also a poet with an archive of 5,000 works and 6 novels. So let's hear it for Dale Walsh. How are you doing today, sir?
Just fine, Keegan. How are you? How's everything?
I'm glad to hear that you're doing well. Thanks for asking. Everything's going swell on my end. It's super happy.
It's a
Sorry about that.
beautiful Sunday in beautiful downtown Hackensack, New Jersey.
Oh yeah.
It's overcast, but it's like stable, and
Uh-huh.
they're calling for rain tonight, but it's stable at the moment. Got 60 degrees, and
Ooh.
I'm just sitting here ready to chat.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad that you're ready to chat because I am too, and you've got quite the background. So, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? Like, where are you from? What's your experience with mental health? And what do you do now with that experience?
Sure. Well, I usually, well, first I should say I was born and raised in Texas. At the age of 10, I moved to Midtown Manhattan. Then
Okay.
I went to boarding school for 4 years, ended up at Dartmouth. And what happened at Dartmouth is the subject of a poem which I can recite if you're interested.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
It's called Dale Reviewing What Actually Happened.
Okay.
Hi, I'm God was a joke I made after Killer Dartmouth toke of some primo Ivy League smoke, which apparently caused me to croak because in mental hospital I awoke with Roomy Gabriel, the main bloke who did my delusions angelically stroke, even while the doctor claimed my brain broke moment divine gag I spoke, testifying I was only bit quack, which which clinicians diagnosed a psychotic attack preventing me from getting sanity back until I came to Teaneck Hackensack to pursue resident therapy program track and deal with my evident lack of reason among psychiatric patient pack who never gave me any slack. Under interrogation, the story didn't crack.
Oh boy, that is quite the poem. And that's quite the story that goes on behind it too. So
Content and context.
yeah, that's huge. So that is a whole lot packed into a poem. So how are you able to pack all of that into one poem?
Well, thank you very much. It's because I came up with what I call a Dale, which is a form, because
Oh.
actually, we'll go into this in a little while, but actually, Dale was like concretely killed in a terrorist attack in 1984, the day before the Taliban took over Kabul in
Mm.
1984. So, anyway, a Dale is a specific form which I use, which I just build around and
Mhm.
6 words a line and two sets of 9 rhymes apiece.
Ooh. Okay.
And the great thing about these is a real brain twister sometimes to come up with 9 rhymes, Keegan,
Yeah.
and put it in something that's even nearly makes sense.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was not necessarily so difficult to keep up, but it was interesting hearing the rhymes and stuff because it reminded me of a haiku and a limerick if they had a baby.
Well, a lot of people say it's very rap.
Yeah, I mean that would definitely sound accurate because it definitely sounded like rap from a fairy.
Right. From a very boss guy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you
You
for
know what I say, Keegan, is you got to be able to make fun of your own minority. So I make wasp jokes.
I mean, you
Like,
have a very
how, how many uh, how many wasps does it take to change a light bulb?
two.
Okay, good. That's the right answer. Why?
I have no idea. I just guessed.
Oh, okay. One to screw in the light bulb and one to make the martinis.
Okay. Okay.
And when I walked around Dartmouth campus, they said I was crazy. Took me away for 40 years. Put me in a
Ooh.
prison in Afghanistan for the last 40 years. So all my baby boomer people have houses and grandchildren, and all
Mhm.
I got is a little a little bachelor's pad in Teaneck, Hackensack City, New Jersey.
Oh man. Boy, oh boy. So you went all the way from Texas to
No,
moving
I went from Texas to Hackensack,
Texas to Hackensack.
the highest security muck prison there is.
Whoa. Okay. Huh.
At least it was until I came.
Oh.
I've sort of like morphed it because
Oh.
I've been here since 1976, uh,
Okay.
Keegan. So basically, Hackensack is well, there are five meanings as a secret six of THC. The first is Teaneck, Hackensack City, the
Okay.
holiest city, the high command, the holiest citadel, the heavenly court, no, the highest court. That's the five basic meanings. And the
Hmm.
secret six is the active ingredient in marijuana.
I mean,
But,
yeah,
but, but I always say, Keegan, I support the city, not the drug.
fair enough. Fair enough. Well, to each their own. Marijuana does have its own medical benefits for some, but for some other people that have some mental diagnoses of sorts, such as myself, it can actually have adverse effects, right?
Right.
Um.
Well, over the long run, and this is something that I've never resolved, to tell you the truth.
Oh,
So,
really?
consequently, this is the first time I've tried marijuana in 17 years today.
Oh, wow. So right now, today,
Right now, yes, we're
how
in
are
the
you
middle of
feeling?
it.
How are
So
you
that's
feeling?
why I say it's a big extra. You got an exclusive,
Ah.
Keegan. Your timing was perfect.
Oh,
So
okay.
what would you like to know about Dale of Lord Do God through Dale?
Oh, yeah, that's right. You're changing your name to Lord Dugard.
Yeah,
That's awesome. So,
hovering in Teaneck, Hackensack City.
oh, very cool. So, whenever people think of schizophrenia,
They don't
um,
think of me.
they don't think of you.
Sure.
What do they usually think of?
Well, they usually think, screaming people with having visions of demons attacking and eating their eyeballs out. I
Yeah.
mean that's the Hollywood version of schizophrenia. So
Mm-hmm.
let's face it, and they're about to all go down anyway. But
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole different story. But
Gotcha.
but it's just like, well, my sister asked me that one time,
Mm-hmm.
and she said I had a friend who said it's like having the whole Continental Congress in your head. And I think,
Mm.
in a good way, that's sort of like what it is ultimately.
Huh.
People
Fair
used
enough.
to ask me what I did in my spare time, and I'd say I have conferences with myself.
That sounds almost a little bit on par with how I feel in my head sometimes. I don't know if I'm necessarily schizophrenic or just have schizophrenic tendencies, but
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but
uh-huh.
this is, there's like such an overdiagnosis of schizophrenia, both
Is there?
personally and by professionals. It's a real crime, and
Whoa.
I mean, if you got it, you're going to be subsumed into the system somehow, and
Oh,
that's how
wow.
you got to look at it. So, even bipolar, basically
Mm-hmm.
they'll give bipolars a trial, but schizophrenic off
Oh
the
boy.
street.
Oh man. Yeah, that's rough because I'm actually bipolar myself. So,
But and a lot of people are worried about Trump. I'm a lot
mm,
more worried that Trump's the Antichrist than about his cuts in the budget. You know, so I'm
mm.
but as I said, this is the first time I duped in 17 years, and so it's a welcome back to Hackensack celebration for Dale,
Oh
who
boy.
so Dale is what has been at the front line of the Afghan war for the last 40
Hmm.
years since he got knocked out by a thermonuclear holocaust in his brain on September 26, 1984. And he was sent out of Hackensack to God knows where and
Mm.
ended up to be Afghanistan, where he's been in the front lines for the last 40 years, a reluctant conscript.
Boy, that is one heck of a ride. And so you didn't really have any say in that whole journey, though, did you?
Basically right. It was always taken out. I mean, the only choice I really had was do I leave Hackensack? And after
Mm.
after like being entrenched in it for 18 years, I said no, this is my home. So
Yeah.
I love Hackensack. So I
Mm-hmm.
still think about leaving it sometime, but I feel like leaving. I feel like I'll be leaving it for a foreign castle for 2 weeks rather than
Uh,
leaving teenage C forever.
oh, yeah. I totally understand that. Um, Being there for so long definitely would make it feel like home for anyone, I'd think. And,
Right. Well, I've been here since 1976
mm-hmm.
in Hackensack. I
Yeah,
spent
that,
5 years in my psychiatric program, then got my apartment, and
mm-hmm.
came here in 1981, and I'm still here with Mickey Mantle and Joe Torre.
Well, it looks great. So it's definitely an accomplishment to be able to say that you've had the same place for that long, though.
I'm the longest tenant by about 20 years.
Jeez. Do you get like a, let's say, discount on your rent or anything like that? No?
No,
Ah,
this is New
man.
Jersey.
Ah, so they probably spike it up every year then, huh?
5%. Yep, just like
Oh,
clockwork.
oh man, that sucks.
Well,
But,
it sucks in one way, but New, everything's so valued in New Jersey that they could push it up a lot more than 5% a year if they really
yeah,
wanted to. So they're
that's fair.
constrained to do 5%, which to me is fine. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, thank God my family took care of me because I never would have been able to.
Oh yeah. So, talking about your family, how involved have they been through your journey with schizophrenia? Because you now mentor people that have been in their families that have been diagnosed with schizophrenia. So,
Right.
how is your family affected by it, and what did they do to help you through?
That's an excellent question that very few people ask me, Keegan. Is a good one. Um, so my mother was always very supportive of me, but basically
Mm-hmm.
she had she had three husbands. I had my bio dad
Mm-hmm.
In Midland, Texas, and she
Oh.
divorced him when I was 1 year old. Then
Mm.
I had Jody, who was my second father and the first daddy I ever knew.
Mm-hmm.
He was from age 1.5 to 9.
Oh,
And
okay.
then my mother brought the judge home from a flight to New York one day while she was still married to Jody. And
Ooh.
I ate 5 drumsticks for him to impress him because I always loved my mother so much. And then next thing we know, we're moving to New York City
Oh boy.
from Abilene, Texas to Midtown Manhattan.
Huh. Okay. Abilene, huh? I'm from
I was
Amarillo.
born in Midland and raised in Abilene.
Okay, yeah, I'm from Amarillo myself.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
okay.
So, I'm currently living in Garland, so I know what you're talking about. So, that's pretty crazy. It's a small world, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's also like I always looked at it as my inevitable push from Texas back to Hackensack to reclaim the holiest city.
No, yeah. Um, but with your family, how did they
Okay,
respond?
so I
Oh,
got I got sidetracked. I'm sorry.
oh, you're fine. You're
So,
fine.
so anyway, my mother had three husbands.
Mm-hmm.
The third one was Judge Walsh, Judge Lawrence E. Walsh, who ultimately ended up being the
Mm.
Iran Contra Independent Counsel. And
Oh.
she married him when I was 10, and he was like the
Mm.
greatest father, I meant the greatest WASP father anyone could have had. I mean,
Mm.
he was stand up. He was like such an important guy, but he was like so down to earth too.
Mm.
So he was a great role model. But they died, and my mother
Mm.
died in 2012, and my father died in 2014. No,
Mm.
no reason to mourn. The judge lived to 102. So, he
Whoa.
was he was born a year. No, he was born 4 months before the Titanic, and he died 102 years later after the Titanic.
Jeez, that's crazy. Um.
Aren't
Wow.
we all? But I'm especially, right?
Yeah. Um. So, who else was in your family, and what did they
Oh, okay.
do?
Oh, so the unraveling of a Deuce bloodline. So I
Yeah.
have six sisters. My sisters were like an Olympic event. There's three halves, two steps, and one reel.
Oh wow. Da-da.
Yeah. So my real sister, same blood father, same blood mother.
Okay.
Then she divorced, didn't have anybody by her second marriage, but then she
Hmm.
married the judge and had Elizabeth by him. So that's a half sister. And
Oh.
then meanwhile, my blood father got remarried and had two daughters. And
Mm.
so that was like three half sisters. And then my the judge when he married my mother had two daughters by his first marriage. His wife died of a brain hemorrhage, so
Ooh.
those are two stepsisters.
Mm.
So consequently, three halves, two steps, and one reel.
Wow. That is quite the branch, you know?
And we haven't even gotten into Disney yet.
Oh boy. Um, you want to dive on into that then?
Sure.
Alrighty.
So okay. So I told you my first 7 year joke, which was, "Hi, I'm God." and uh and so that's my first 7 year joke. But then,
Mm.
after so much persecution for that one, I figured I had to come up with a new joke. So this one has a background. It's so I'm a Disney chipmunk as a Chip and Dale, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm also a Disney duck. My initials are Dew, DEW. My father's initials are Lou, LEW. My best friend's name is Hugh, and Hugh's father's name is Donald. So I get Huey, Dewey, Louie, and Donald. So that's uh that's the background to the joke. Now do you want to hear the joke?
Sure.
What do you get when you cross the Disney chipmunks with the Disney ducks?
What's that?
Me!
Well, I would definitely say you fit quite the character if I would have to picture one of those characters being mixed together.
And you know the ironic thing is, Keegan?
What's that?
DEW, my
Mm.
initials are WED backwards, which is Walter Elias Disney.
Huh. Yeah. I didn't realize Disney
So
had
I
a middle
we're
name.
all the Disneys are clones of Walt Disney.
Uh-huh.
And there are a lot of you out there, and that's who I'm aiming to unite against this whole baby boomer conspiracy that's been going on for the last 40 years, when the boomers should have been kicked out of office in the first place instead of like the travesties we've seen in the last 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
But excuse me, I didn't mean to be political.
No, you're fine. I actually totally agree with you on that. It's one of those things that the younger generations should be kind of leading the way on that. After a while, everyone should be kind of out. Um,
But that's what I'm doing right now. I'm encouraging the Zers, Gen Zs.
Ooh.
Are you a millennial or a Gen Z
Uh,
or what?
I always forget. I'm born 92, so I think I'm a millennial.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so millennial.
So that's the one between well, there was me and Sarah, and
Mhm.
and, and actually Amy and Angie both had kids, but Sarah and I didn't, and that's the
Mm.
essential bloodline. And then we skipped a generation to Elizabeth, our half sister, and
Mhm.
she had two boys and a niece, and so they're all about to get married and not inviting me to their wedding, but
Oh. Why?
it's okay, guys. You know, I'll get
Oh.
no respect.
Oh. No, that's not cool. Oh. Why wouldn't they?
I don't know, but you know,
Hmm.
everything's a conspiracy except me. That's why I built my own conspiracy.
Ooh, I like that idea. Do you want to build,
50
expand
years
on
in
that?
Hackensack's not a conspiracy.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. Uh,
That's a new one. I just came up with.
that's a pretty good one. Uh, um, so whenever it comes to schizophrenia and stuff, how did your family respond whenever they got
They
the
were very
diagnosis?
loving and very supportive, to tell you the truth.
Really? That's
They were
good.
always there for me when I needed them, even though my mother would get mad at me for my use of marijuana. But
Mm.
everybody, now I don't talk to anybody but my real sister, basically.
Mm.
But you know, but other than that, everything is great. You know, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I have learned to depend on myself for what others can't give me. So I got
Oh yeah.
Hackensack. I got my therapist in Teaneck across the river, and everything is good.
That's awesome. So, whenever you talk about having a therapist, what kind of things do you work with your therapist that you utilize in the families that are diagnosed with schizophrenia?
Well, since I was taken away from Dartmouth 50 years ago, I've been involved with all sorts of like therapists and doctors and everything.
Mm.
And so uh, I don't know. I mean, overall, my therapies for the first 5 years, I was in very intensive therapies that my mother's doctor ultimately said traumatized me. But it was
Mm.
seeing the doctor 3 times a week, and
Mm.
then two groups a week, and we all ate together, and that's why I went to the hospital 9 times in 5 years I was in the program, just because things would become too claustrophobic.
Oh man, that's rough. Uh, I mean,
I'm still here.
yeah, you are still here, and I'm very happy that you are. And congratulations for pulling through all of that because that doesn't sound like it was easy at all.
15 hospitalizations.
Yeah, no, not easy at all. And I'm sure each one of those was its own unique
Each
experience.
one of those, I was staring down the barrel of the gun of permanent institutionalization.
Every single time.
Yep.
Why is that exactly?
Authority wanted to shut me up.
Mm,
The
because you know
mucks
the truth?
wanted the mucks were just kept coming. I couldn't like get a channel through for like 40 years. You know, I meant like
Mm,
so I did so this is the death of Dale. Did I tell you about the death of Dale? This is essential.
uh, the
You
death
remember this.
of? No.
You, so okay, so the death of Dale was September 26th, 1994, when in the never-ending saga of Duck versus Muck, Muck was having a fall offensive against campus where Dale's Duck agents and operatives were operating. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, halfway across the bridge from Hackensack to Teaneck, Dale had a set of flashes in his brain, and it
Mm-hmm.
was that there was six scenarios, and I can only remember the last two. The fifth
Hmm.
one was the crazy Irish super bursting in on the old couple across the hall with an M16, and then the next thing was seen the whole Earth imploded in a thermonuclear holocaust. So
Oh,
everything was just incinerated. So
whoa.
that was the death of Dale, September 26, 1984. And
Mm.
I was curious. I've been getting back to Dale for about the last week. So if I'm a little unsure about my footing on talking, I apologize. But uh,
No, no, you're fine. You're totally fine. I know what it's like getting back to self. Getting back to self is totally weird. And one of those things that helped me get back to self was going by one of my other names. And you're kind of doing the same thing. You're almost reinventing yourself to find yourself.
well, these have all been active personalities for about the last 20 years. Uh,
Oh,
So,
okay.
I have five basic personalities, Keegan. Dale,
Ah.
Dewey, Dale, Dewey, Do, Duck, and Genius. So Dale was as a front run, the pioneer at Hackensack. He
Okay.
was at Dartmouth College and he got taken away, put in a program, and spent the next 9 years in Hackensack wandering across the bridge to Teaneck
Mm.
until he was shot in the brain by a Dewey Death Missile System, and I imploded his Earth, his Dale, and I became Dewey Death. And Lord help us if we ever need Dewey Death again. But so but so Dale was 29 when he got nuked. So
Mm.
Dewey had 33 years in Hackensack, and in 2018 I reached the third dimension, which is Dew, and that was in 2018. So we're seven
Mm.
years into Dew's 30-year reign,
Oh,
even though
wow.
I'll be 90 officially by that time.
You'll be how old?
90.
No way.
I'm turning 70 in May.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. Uh,
I like your reaction. You don't think I look 70 or sound 70?
well, I mean, I don't know what to expect with people in age anymore, especially whenever it comes to looks. Because in my experiences, I feel like I've lived more than one lifetime. So I don't look how I feel. I look how I think I should feel.
Right.
Wait, I don't look how I think I should look. And so I can't judge people or go by looks anymore. So if I see someone that
That's the
so
greatest. That's the greatest avoiding of that question I've ever heard,
well,
Keegan.
I mean, you're right, but one of the things is that I don't know because nowadays I look at people that are older than me and they don't look that much older than me, you
Bomb the
know?
boomers.
Say what?
Bomb the boomers.
Man, I got some grandparents still, so I don't think so. I think
No,
it's
well,
okay.
they aren't they're oh, that's another thing. Direct energy weapons do. That's the
Mm.
new do. Do you know for the last 70 years, the do in the American military has meant distant early warning system,
Mm-hmm.
which was like the guard in case Russia ever fired missiles, they'd like know and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the do line from like 1950 to about probably like 3 months ago when DEW's directed energy weapons
Huh.
came into the news about like burning California and everything. It's just like so crazy because there's such a run on to invalidate and make it seem like do is violent,
Mm.
instead of it being a do being a instrument of peace. If they attack, we'll know. And now it's like we're going to burn down California. So,
Oof. Yeah, that's not good.
but we're standing up for Dale Daley Walsh. So that's the true do. That's all we got to remember and do is secure still in Hackensack. And if anybody wants to attack Hackensack, we've been ready for 50 years.
There you go. I mean, that's the way you need to be, right? Is always on the always ready to go, always on your toes. Does schizophrenia keep you on your toes more often than you'd say the average person?
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. I mean, the, like what people don't really understand is schizophrenia is like in the front lines of the battle of the soul
Mm.
for the soul of the world.
Ooh, that's a really good way to put it.
And that's something I just came up with, but that's a good one. And but what I do is I define schizophrenia as living in a reality not conceived on Earth, which is
Mm.
become like a lot more acceptable with all this talk about star seeds and angels and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But schizophrenics either live in a positive world of illusion that's
Mm-hmm.
actually real to
Mm-hmm.
them, and if it's real to them, then it's real to the world that they see around them. So,
Mm.
well, it's like a conundrum. I've been I really haven't been dealing with it that much lately, but it's
Mm-hmm.
something that I used to deal with. If I'm a schizophrenic, then why is everybody so sane around me?
Mm.
Or
Yeah.
why are the people around me said to be sane even more?
Hmm. Yeah. That's a good question. I mean, because, and I've always had that kind of mindset too, is that I can't tell someone what is and what is not real, especially to them.
Right.
If someone is having an experience, they are having an experience. I cannot tell them that they are not having that experience. So it's it's kind of scary because I know what it's like to have moments where I'm out of touch. So, those moments whenever you're out of touch, how out of touch do you actually get? Um,
15 hospitalization and one of extreme anger and one of extreme despair.
oof. So they do get really
Well, the
bad.
one the one of extreme despair was after that hit on Dale in 1984.
Mm, gotcha. Um, so each time that you have one of those episodes, and every time you have had one of those rebirths, if you will, uh,
Well,
how does it?
that's the ironic thing, Keegan. I always thought it was a rebirth, but my doctor always saw it as a psychotic break. So, we were
Uh,
basically at basic loggerheads for 22 years in our therapy because I won't go into it, but
mm,
if you want to look, I don't know if I'm on C, what is it, SEO? But I don't know if my podcasts are available, but I go into my doctor in other podcasts if you want to look them up.
yeah, sure. Go ahead and plug them away. Give it a shout out right now.
Well, one that immediately comes to mind is mentally a badass.
Mentally a badass.
Yeah,
Nice.
uh, she just posted to me actually, and
Oh.
that's the only one I can come up with right now. But I wasn't really like trying to get myself promoted, although I will be. One of you publicists, me Keegan.
Yeah.
What a
Um.
job!
I don't know if I
You'll
could do
get
some
paid in jails.
paid in Dales, huh? That'd be pretty interesting. I don't know if I could really
The
take on
only
that.
currency beyond fiat and crypto.
Oh yeah? Huh. That'd be really cool. So, whenever we're talking about schizophrenia, how do you handle it in a way that actually uh, makes it, I wouldn't say manageable, but what makes it to where you have the most fun with it?
There's a, what makes it the most fun is realizing that you're the one who's going, what's crazy? You're crazy. I'm not crazy. You're crazy.
Fair enough. And how often does that actually happen though?
Uh, well, it used to happen a lot. I had 15 hospitalizations between 1975 and
Mm,
2005. So it used to happen very much. But basically, I haven't had an episode since 1993. And
okay.
I've been out of the hospital for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
The last time I went to the hospital was only because of a medication problem where I
Mm,
had to be moved from one medication to another got that fixed in 5 days, and I was out.
Ooh.
So basically, I've been, I really had like 13 serious hospitalizations out of 15. So, but you learn to survive, and
Hmm.
you know that if you get too crazy, you're going to really start putting you away. So you watch what you say.
Yeah, that's fair. So
I
every
got all my secrets up here, just like the Wikipedia.
oh yeah. So every time you had one of those little breaks, it resulted in a hospitalization, and you had different scenarios that led you there. And with each one, you had different rebirths. You came out brand new. You came out with a
New
different
people.
perspective. Yeah, new
Most
people.
importantly, that was really the major reason I went to the hospital was to meet people
Oh,
because
really?
I couldn't meet anybody where I was in the program.
Why is that?
It was there was like no. I mean, we most of the people in the program were like social pariahs around the neighborhood. I was
Mm.
accepted, but nobody real. Our our uh, our network was very small.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying now. Um, I'm sorry that you weren't able to really meet anyone in that kind of network and stuff, but now that you're doing what you're doing, I'm sure that you have a massive network, don't you?
Uh, Not officially, but yes.
Not
I, I,
officially.
I, I've been in the last like 3 or 4 months. I've done about at least like 20 podcasts, and
Whoa.
so I'm. This is where I met you. I'm sure is a Podmatch, right?
Uh-huh. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's a great platform. And this might be free advertising, but it matches hosts and guests for podcasts. So
Mm-hmm.
I definitely highly recommend it. But yeah, that's how we met, right, Keegan?
Yes, sir, it is. And I highly recommend Podmatch as well. It has been super helpful, and I mean, it is one of those tools that I don't know how I was doing podcasting without it. um, but whenever you're helping people that have been recently diagnosed with schizophrenia, what's one of the things that you tell them to not freak out about first?
Well, one of the first things I talk about is response versus reaction, and how
Ooh.
reaction is an emotional jumping into a fire, whereas response is sort of like sitting back and looking off the diving board before you take the plunge. So
Ah.
that's where the difference. But so I just talked about that, and how it's important not to react no matter how triggering you might feel, because
Hmm.
a lot of people with serious mental illness, they want intentionally antagonize you,
Mm-hmm.
or try to anyway. And if you take the bait, then they're on their own home turf. So, you know,
Mm.
and you can't like they say, you can't argue with a genius or a psycho psychotic.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing is not try not to argue. Don't let your emotions get you carried away into a place where there's going to be bad blood.
Mm. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? What do you mean by don't let your emotions get away on you? Doesn't that happen to everyone?
Well, that's why people are coming. That's why I give trainings.
Ah. Okay, so this kind of training goes on to other people and not just those with schizophrenia, right?
Well, it's directed towards the family caregivers. It's not directed
Oh, yeah,
towards
yeah,
the.
yeah.
It's not directed towards the patient. I hate that word, but I always use it. The
Mm.
patients themselves. But no. So I'm like interested in like helping family members reclaim their independence and their integrity, self
Mm.
integrity.
Mm.
From codependency for their loved one. How to
Ah.
communicate better with their loved one. Just
Mm.
give them a general idea about what schizophrenia is about, because until you encounter it, you have like absolutely no idea what it is. So
Mm.
and that's one of the reasons I started the company, is just to like help people. And now I'm on NAMI's In Our Own Voice program, so I'm a public speaker through them, and
Ooh.
just getting some airtime now, doing doing my Instagram reels, like 3 or 4 times a week at this point, but
Mm-hmm.
doing it consistently and just chronicling the beautiful weather we've had in Hackensack in the last week. The dome of the sky was like completely blue, no chemtrails, no nothing. It was just not a
Wow.
cloud. It was just like so beautiful and like 56 to 60 degrees.
Oh man, that is nice weather. Sure is beautiful out over here in Texas at the moment. And whenever you're dealing with families that um, are really having a hard time breaking off that codependency, what is something that you let them know? Because that kind of codependency is hard to break off of because they're just trying to make sure that their loved one is taken care of, right?
Right.
So how do you convince
But
them?
but
Or
codependency goes deeper than that, of course.
yes, yes.
Codependency is like a neurotic need to take care of someone when
Mm-hmm.
actually they might not need it. So consequently, they pamper the person, and that he doesn't grow because he didn't have to do anything. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was basically in that position for a long time, especially in the program and also between 1995 and 2007 when I gave up marijuana, alcohol, and previously cigarettes for
Mm.
good.
Okay. Speaking of marijuana, how have you been feeling during this interview since this is your first time back
Just
on it?
ducky. I hope I haven't been rambling too bad. We
No.
The thing is, Keegan, I'm sort of tired of talking about about
Mm-hmm.
schizophrenia because
Yeah.
one thing I decided on the lunar eclipse was I'm going to stop using schizophrenia as a reason to not talk about what's going on with me because
Okay.
ultimately it's all part of the you know in other words, move from the past to the present.
Yeah. Okay. So why don't we move to the present? What are you doing with something that you are looking forward to achieve in 2 years?
Well, the next two projects I think are get my memoir about what happened at Dartmouth published on Amazon, and then I
Ooh.
also have a poetry manuscript, that first one since 2018,
Uh
that
huh.
I have ready, and I actually meant to get out by Christmas, but now I'm just sitting on it. But I'm waiting for the cover to be done, and so
Hmm.
those are my two major projects. And the third project is to get my 7 bedroom, 5 bath mansion, double kitchen with a triple garage with a uh, Mercedes, Porsche, and Tesla in the 8 car garage on a quarter mile of beach on the Big Island of Hawaii.
Wow. That is very descriptive and very on point. So you think you can get all that in 2 years? Or is that just your long term goal?
No, this is turning as a currency from cash and from fiat and crypto to deal.
Oh, wow.
I pay in deals.
You paying deals. I mean, you sure do have a lot of currency behind all that then.
Well, I think I mentioned this. I was the independent witness in the Iran Contra Independent Council because I was the only one who had direct access to Judge Walsh, the leader of the investigation. So I
Hmm.
called myself the independent witness in my Iran Contra, and look where it got me: 40 more than 40 years in a jail in a bachelor pad in a Hackensack, New Jersey.
Boy, oh boy. I mean, I can't imagine that have being the outcome from something like that, though. You know.
Neither could I.
Well, I mean, you handle it very well. You're laughing, you're smiling, you're looking forward to the future.
I'm
And
stoned for the first time in 17 years.
and that's one of those things that a lot of people wouldn't really know what to do about that. And isn't
Well,
that one
I want to thank you for keeping me grounded, Keegan, actually.
yeah, for sure. I didn't know I was keeping you grounded.
Well, when I start laughing, it's either a sign of concern or a sign of hilarity. So
Oh, okay. A sign of concern?
it's all hilarity. There is
Okay.
no concern.
So, whenever you say it's a sign of concern, is that one of those like, oh no, like a psychotic break is about to happen?
Well,
Or,
that's what the popular view has been. In fact,
uh,
every time I laughed for real two or three times in the program, and each time I was in the hospital within 3 days.
oh boy.
You know,
Yeah,
the
no.
monks can't. I was thinking about it today, actually, Keegan. The monks
Mm,
can't handle my laugh, my cough, or my laugh, my cough, or my giggle.
hmm. Is there any reason for that? Or is
Yeah,
that,
well, it's all part of the big strategy. You know, you put yourself in the middle and
mm,
wait for the monks to to start sliming out at you and everything, and
ah.
you're all hissing and anticipating you and everything. And then just when they all jump you, you go, Dale, and they all like implode, and Dale is once again someplace else.
Oh,
This
okay.
is the whole concept is a Dale to Dale existence. I don't live day to day, Keegan. I live Dale to Dale.
Dale to Dale. I like that. And, sometimes I actually feel that that's how I live too, but it's maybe just because I try to break my life into chapters, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
But the way that you describe it is really good, and I love it because you're so descriptive with it. And is that something that you love doing? Is being really descriptive with
Well,
everything?
when you when you've been in therapy for 50 years, you come back and tell me you don't have a story or
You have a point.
two.
Yeah, I mean, I've been through therapy some, and I want to go back to it. And that is one of the things that you do get pretty good at describing stuff, using descriptors and being
Right.
imaginative with it later on too.
Well, it's all
So,
improv. I'm glad it's getting down.
yeah.
I have no idea. I don't remember what one slogan we came up with tonight.
Hey, that's okay. I mean, I've had my fair share of concussions and substance abuse and everything, so my memory isn't the best either.
I had three concussions before the age of 12.
Ooh, I think you and I are right there on the same
And
thing.
finally, my mother said, if you have another concussion, I'm not going to give you anything to eat and I'm going to spank you. So I never had
Oh,
another concussion in my life.
y- yeah, I mean, so that's definitely a good thing that you never had another one. Maybe that would have worked on me. No, that wouldn't have worked on me. My mom knows me better than that. I still would have got another concussion, because I still did. But that it. So on a personal note, did your concussions have anything to do with your schizophrenia?
Well, nobody ever tied the two together. They could have, but
Mm.
you know, it was. I had my concussions, I think, before the age of 12, and the
Mm-hmm.
schizophrenia came on at 20.
Okay,
So,
but
yeah, so I mean, it could have had like a long-term effect, but I
mm.
don't really. They weren't really serious concussions. I wasn't
Uh,
really out or something. I mean, like one, I was playing, tackle football in my living room. I
mm-hmm.
hit somebody's knee, and so
Ouch.
we kept playing and everything, and then
Mm-hmm.
it was only like late the next day at school that I was feeling terrible.
Mm.
So they say actually that's the most dangerous type, but I don't
Yeah.
know about that. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely the kind where you want to fall asleep and everything like that later on. Yeah, those are
I
bad.
just had like a very upset stomach,
Oh yeah,
and a headache.
yeah, those cannot be very good. So
Right.
concussions, no bueno. Um,
No,
but I'm glad that your memory is as it is because I mean you've been able to remember all those years, all
well,
those
actually
experiences.
when I was at Fairleigh Dickinson, I started my own fraternity. It was called Betamax Fraternity.
Oh yeah.
Betamax, Betamax, blah blah blah, Betamax, Betamax, sis boom bah. And so but the idea behind Betamax in the closed community of Fairleigh Dickinson University was if you missed anything, you come to Dale to ask what you missed.
Ah,
So, so basically, uh, this all gets into Dewey's and Android talk too, which is something for another time.
ah.
But basically, I've remembered so far as I can remember. I remember everything that's happened since I was taken away from Dartmouth
Oh,
in,
wow.
in 1975, 50 years ago.
That is quite the memory. Um,
I mean, I can't like go back and quote a day and and say, well, this is what happened that day, but I
yeah.
do know that I've seen everything from the Kennedy assassinations to
Mm,
9/11 to
mm,
now Trump is president for the second time. So, and I've seen everything in between. So,
mm-hmm.
it's been a very eventful life, but I'm just grateful to have been able to live it, even if I was sort of on the outside.
Well, I'm super glad that you're able to remember all that because that's actually pretty impressive. And I mean, with all those experiences, being able to remember all of that, you bring a lot to the table for anyone that is dealing with any kind of mental illness, especially schizophrenia. But it sounds like you can just bring a lot of value and insight to anyone's life if they want to talk to you. So
That's how
how,
I feel. Thank you very much for the endorsement.
of course, how do you get in touch with you if someone were to,
Well, the real way to do it is through Calendly.
okay,
It's
uh,
I I have access to a free 40-minute 40-minute session with me if you want to just talk, and
mm-hmm.
we can see if we can work out anything to working together. But I'm sort of like totally new at like this idea of like work of selling the product, but I'm ready.
Yeah, okay. And you also have a website, do you not?
So the Calendly is a CALENDLY.com/Dale Coach 55.
Calendly Dale Coach 55.
Right.
All right, let's see if I can't write that down for everyone real quick. Dale Coach 55.
Calendly first.
Yep. Let me make sure I got this right for everyone. Do 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 do. Save and show. Is that it right there? Dale Coach 55.
Yeah, it should be a scheduling thing.
Yep. Uh oh, hang on. Let me actually make it a little bit more official. Actually, there we go. That should work, I think. Let
Don't worry
me.
about it. If it does, it does. If they got the name, if they want to look it up.
Yep, it worked. There we go.
Good.
Perfect.
Did you make an appointment?
I have not yet.
No, but so what worked?
The link, it does go straight there. I posted it
Oh,
on the
okay,
video
okay, yeah.
so
Well,
everyone can look at it as they're watching the video, so they know
right.
where to go.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that is his Calendly, everyone, and
Just to refresh, calendly.com/DaleCoach55. 55. DaleCoach55.
yes, sir. Um, and we are near the end of this episode. Do you have anything you'd like to leave the audience with for this evening?
If anything, when you think about schizophrenic, don't give in to the stereotype to which they've been assigned.
Ooh, that's good. What would you offer them to lean into instead?
Your deep wordless wisdom within just asks the Lord within to guide you.
Ooh, that's deep. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome,
And
Keegan. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
of course, it's been a pleasure having you on. We still got a couple of minutes. And do you have
Sure.
anything that you really like to dive into that helps you with your schizophrenia and manage it?
Medication.
Meditation?
I was very fortunate to find the correct medication very quickly, even though I had 15 hospitalizations. One of the reasons I go to the hospital is because I'd stopped taking my medication.
Ah,
So I've been taking the same medication for 45 years, but in the last probably 4 or 5 years, I've lowered the dosage from 30 milligrams a day to 10.
oh wow.
So so that means I'm in great mental health shape with all the doctors and everybody. So I'm just going to enjoy Hackensack and see what the 10 days of darkness bring.
Awesome. 10 days of darkness, huh?
That's what they're saying. That's what they're talking about these days. But it's not going to happen to the ducks.
Fair enough.
That
um,
looks like California behind that. Is that supposed to be California behind you?
the installation stuff?
Yeah.
Nope, it's just a random design that I threw up on the wall.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep. So, um, let's see. Oh, Dale, I have one important question for you. Do you know the hotline number that someone can call if they are having suicidal ideations or if they're in any mental crisis?
Oh, should I text that to you? Or I'll send it on Podmatch.
No, 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 no. This is a one of my call to actions. Because I like to promote the
Oh,
number.
okay. I thought you were no, but okay.
Yeah. Do you know that number?
Well, no, that's what I thought you were asking. Doing a number, and I was going to say I'll send it to you in Podmatch.
Oh, well, I was just going to say that it's 988.
Oh, okay, good. You have it.
Yep. So I'd just like to remind our listeners that if we can teach our kids how to dial 911 in case of an emergency, that we can teach our friends and loved ones how to dial 988 in case of a mental crisis. And it doesn't have to
Excellent.
be, yep, it just doesn't have to be suicide ideations. It can be you just lost your job, you just had a bad breakup, you got to be on your report card, something like that.
I'm
It can
going
be,
psychotic.
yeah, a little bit of anything, right?
That might call for a supervisor, right?
Yep, very possibly. But with that, Dale, we've come to the end of this episode. So I got to ask you, though, we can expect to see you on the show in the future, right?
Sure. I'd
Awesome.
love to come back.
Awesome. It would be great to have you. It'd be another honor to have you on again. And it's been an honor this time as well. So,
I appreciate it, Keegan. Thank you very much. That means a lot to me.
of course, thank you very much, Dale, for being on the show. And thank you, everyone, for listening on WDJY 99.1 FM. And don't forget to go to retrievingsanity.com to check out Dale Wash's profile. And you can also check out all the other episodes on YouTube and Spotify and anywhere else you can find a podcast. So, with that, we're going to end it here, and y'all have a good rest of the day, whenever that is that you're listening and or watching. So, y'all have a
Thank
good one.
you.
Yep. Shalom. And stop. Alrighty. And we are
I did.
done.